Hey, I'm here again. This time I'm going to be talking about how to make beans. Now, for some of you, this is something that's really quick and easy, but for other you, it might be new. So here's a couple tips that I have learned over the way. The first thing is I'm going to point out that you got a bag of beans. These are pinto beans. They're called pinto because they have the little spots on them. They're the type that are used most often for like refried beans or in Mexican restaurants, because once they cook, they will lose those spots. But they're mild flavored. They work really well, and they don't have as thick of skin as some of the other beans. I'll be talking about some other beans in a little bit, but I just want to get you started because the very first thing you need to do is beans is not a food that you can just make like instantly. You have to actually do a couple steps first. Now, if I wanted to, I could put these all in the water and just cook them low and slow all day. But to cut down on the cooking time, there are two tricks. One is that you could put these in water overnight and let them sit overnight, and then drain that water. Or I'm going to show you what I think is better. It's called a quick soak. And so I have taken the beans, because these are seeds that come from a plant. I have actually washed them. You don't have to be like really thorough, but you just need to make sure that there's no rocks or that kind of stuff came through them when they were being processed. So I've washed them, I've drained them. Now what I'm going to do is go ahead and put them in just a pan with the lid. And when I put them in with the lid, by the way, this is, I gave you a pound of beans, which will make about 9 servings by the time you're done, because these will like triple in size. And the first way we're going to do is to double them, is we're going to do, like I said, the quick soak. So I'm going to pour enough water over the top of them so that they are totally covered with, I want them to cover, and when I put my thumb down in the water, I want it so when I'm touching the beans with my thumb, I want the water to come to my first knuckle, which is about what I've got. So I'm going to go ahead and put these on. I'm just going to bring them to a boil. As soon as they have boiled, I'm going to boil them for, just make sure they're really boiled. Once they've done that, I'm going to put my lid on the top, and then I will let them sit just on the stove for an hour. And so I'll be back in an hour. Okay, so here's the next step with beans. So I have allowed the beans to come to a boil. I've covered them and I've let them sit for an hour, which is what we call quick soak. And now what I'm going to do is very carefully, I'm going to drain them. The reason we drain them is because beans are high in protein, but they also have a sugar in them that can go to your digestive system, and then that's what actually causes people to sometimes have digestive distress with beans. Now, you do not have to drain the beans. You don't have to do this step at all, but I like to. I'm going to rinse this out with cold water and sort of swirl it around to make sure that I've got all the pieces. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the beans. Oops, lost one there. I'm actually going to grab one out, and I'll show you why in just a second. So I'm going to take the beans out, and I'm going to rinse them with cold water and make sure that they're nice and clean and that they run. I just want to get all of that first batch of sugar off of the beans that comes out in the first cooking, the first soaking. So if I chose to do a slow soak and did these overnight, I would rinse them. If I'm doing the quick soak like I just did, I would still rinse them off. And once they're all getting clean so that the water is running clear underneath it, so that the water down here is nice and clean, I'm going to go ahead and put them back into my pan. And then once again, I am going to put enough water on them to again come up to my thumb knuckle. So what I've done is I've laid them flat so that they're all like level, and then I'm adding enough water so that when they come up to the top, it again goes from when I'm touching the beans with the bottom of my thumb, that it goes up to my knuckle. And there we go. So it's about an inch and a half of water on top. And then I'm going to go ahead and bring these back to a boil. So I'm going to pause for just a second, and then I'm going to have a couple other pieces of it. So I have returned my beans to the stove. I have put the lid on. I'm going to bring those back to a boil. So I have my oven on, my stove on hot. I'll bring those back to a boil, and then once they come to boil, I'm going to simmer them for 2 to 3 hours until they are tender. But I want to show you something that's happened already. When you look at the beans that we started with, sorry, this is the one that was the original, and then this is the one that just has soaked. And as you'll notice, it is significantly larger, and it's lost its spots. So it's getting this lighter, and it's going to get even lighter as it cooks, and it's going to get even bigger as it cooks. So I'm going to keep these so we can use those as our comparison. But I also wanted to show you this. Here are 9 different types of beans. These are not the only types of beans you can find in the store. So here I have split peas. I have yellow split peas. Sometimes these are called yellow lentils. I have great whites here. These are called navy beans in these light white ones. I have turtle beans. I have black-eyed peas, which are actually not a pea at all. They're a bean. I have the pintos that you've seen already. I have, these are kidney beans, and these are called pink beans. And they're, the names are not that original. Black, pink, whatever, white beans. But all beans come from the pods of a plant, and so they are very high in protein, but they're also they do have fats in them, so that we sometimes use beans like soybeans. We'll use soybean oil, or we'll use others, because the seed of the plant is there to give the plant energy to grow and to produce a new plant, and so it needs the energy. It needs those oils. The beans are not a complete source of protein, however, so if you want to have all the 9 essential amino acids, you need to combine beans with rice, with a grain, with a dairy product, so rice and beans, or rice and cheese, rice and beans, or beans and cheese, like for a burrito, and those will give you some stuff to go. So here's just a little information on the in part. Sorry that was so wiggly. Okay. And what we're going to do is, in a little bit, I'm going to come back, and then we'll talk about how to season these guys. So I'll see you in about 3 hours. Okay, I'm back. It's been about 2.5 hours since my last video. I wanted to show you, this is the original size, so that's what we started with. This was after our pre-soak that we did the quick soak, and this is what it looks like now that it is done. I can tell they're done because when I take one out with a spoon, I can smoosh it, and you'll notice that it's very easy to smoosh. And then the greatest test is just to go ahead and try it with your mouth. But this one, it's like I said, I just take one out and smush it so I can see. But as you can notice, they went from getting much, much larger, about tripling in size by the time they got done. At this point, you can season them and do whatever you want. I'm going to go ahead and move over, let you see what the whole pan looks like. So here's my whole pot of beans. I can use any type of seasoning that I want. I can put garlic, cumin, chili powder. I can go Mediterranean and take it a totally different way with curry or coriander and those kinds of things. So decide what kind of meal that you want. I can also make these sweet into baked beans by putting barbecue sauce, or I can put tomatoes and like brown sugar, something like that if I want to. The other thing that I wanted to show you is over here, there's also one other option that you have, is that not only can you make beans that are the slow cook, but you can also do things that are lentils or the split peas or the yellow peas that I showed you. These don't take all day like the ones that I'm having you do. They actually will cook in about 45 minutes, and I don't have to pre-soak them. These are smaller, and because they're smaller, they cook more quickly, and so the smaller they are, the softer they are, the faster they cook. But lentils work really well, are also, again, an excellent source of, as it says, fiber, but also a really good source of protein. So please notice they're very low in fat, and they have the calories is a really good thing. So these are a healthy option for you as far as fiber and protein. So, and they're used in restaurants a lot because they are a cheap source of protein. People like them. You can use them on a vegan or vegetarian diet. So, as I said, now that we've got them cooked and we've got them ready to go here. You can season them however you want. You can even, if you want to, you can smash them, cook them again, which is where refried beans come from, and season them as you want. And show me a picture of what you make with your beans. And that sounds like you guys are going to have an excellent meal tonight. Talk to you soon.